Maybe you thought to yourself, oh, I hope the cool, dry weather can last for a while longer. I got bad news for you. We are moving into a pattern that looks a whole lot more like the month of May, which in a lot of senses feels a whole lot like the beginning of the summer season around here. And this is the kind of thing that we look for in that pattern change. Number one, the polar front retreating toward the north. And I'll outline that. The polar front is not just a single cold front. It's the leading edge of the cooler air that tries to come south from Canada or from the Arctic, from Alaska, wherever it might try to come. With that being so far to the north over the next 7 days, there's not really a whole lot of hope for us getting cool again anytime soon. So these numbers, mainly for Birmingham, but it essentially applies for all of central and north Alabama. The last spring 50-degree day where the temperature is cooler than 50, so we'll call it maybe a 40-degree day instead, where the temperature drops cooler than 50 would be around May 15th. The first time in the fall would be around the beginning of October, so we're somewhere in the neighborhood of about 140 days until it feels crisp and cool again. Now, that's not to say we don't have a breath of fresh air here and there, but there's certainly not a lot of low humidity, dry, comfortable weather in our near future, and we'll start that with a limited chance of an isolated shower or a storm coming up around central and north Alabama on Saturday. Not too many of us are going to get wet. The chance of rain only about 10 to 20%. It's a very, very low probability. It does get warmer, though. Highs are back in the 70s and 80s on Saturday afternoon, and then we just do this thing where there's a good chance of a shower or thunderstorm all the way through next week. Well, here's the picture around central Alabama, north Alabama. On this Friday, it has been cloudy. It has been cool. The clouds have been very thick across northeast Alabama. We saw them thin across the Birmingham metro area just as the sun was getting to go down. And then look down here to the south. We just got another thick patch of clouds with some breaks in between. This is all part of a disturbed flow from the southern branch of the jet stream. Now, that's located essentially right in here. And as it moves over, you can see the thunderstorms that are firing up here over Texas. No other real storm system out there to do this. It's just the warm, humid air and these waves that happen in the upper atmosphere. And once we get the humidity back, it's not going to take all that much to get a few downpours going now and then. In fact, here's what the humid air looks like coming northbound. Of course, you can't see the air, so we color it green. The stickier it is, the deeper the green color, and we're pretty well covered in thick tropical-like humidity from Sunday into next week. We may see the humidity drop just a bit toward the end of next week, but it's certainly not going to feel the way it has around here recently. All right, of importance, what's going to happen around here this weekend? This is the HRRR model, the HRRR. It did a pretty good job with the showers around Alabama on Friday. And you look at this pattern early Saturday, there may not be all that much out there. I think maybe an isolated shower or a brief thunderstorm here and there. The fuel looks fairly limited for this. You look over here to the west, and it really starts to build over Mississippi during the day. Some really unstable air over the Delta and down toward Jackson. And then around Alabama, toward the Black Belt, Demopolis, down toward Lowndes County and Bullitt County, Crenshaw County, there's a little bit more instability. But from Birmingham north and northeast in particular, it'll be a little cooler up here, so we're probably not going to see quite as much in the way of showers and thunderstorms. But then, I'll tell you what, if this thing is real, and it very well may not be real, these forecast models, we call them CAMs, convective allowing models, they're not always perfect when it comes to this kind of thing. And the 18Z HRRR, the midday HRRR, is the only one really showing that particular kind of setup. And look what it does. It's feeding off of some warm, humid air that's coming in from the southwest. Well, we will have a southwesterly flow about 10,000 feet off the ground. So that's one of the things you look for. And then do you have the storm itself? And that's going to be the question. Do we actually see an outflow boundary right here at midnight that could potentially cause a few overnight thunderstorms across North Alabama Sunday morning, Saturday night into Sunday morning? The model here thinks so. Is that reality? Kind of remains to be seen. What I think probably happens here is less of a thunderstorm and more of just an outflow boundary that ends up giving us a little cool front like that, except that's backward. It kind of gives us a little cool front that looks like that, and sometimes that can be the focus for a southwest wind here, maybe a bit more of a west wind here, and you get convergence, and thunderstorms can start developing wherever that front ends up in the afternoon. Now, you look toward the north, and there's still quite a bit of thunderstorm action over Missouri and Arkansas, Tennessee, up into Kentucky on Sunday afternoon. There's going to be a lot of instability. So whatever happens early in the morning, we're going to be unstable again, and that means that any little disturbance could kick off a few locally heavy thunderstorms Sunday afternoon. Here's that 7-day forecast again, and we go from the cool, dry days of recent weather to just what you see is what you get. We'll have quite a few scattered showers and thunderstorms in the days ahead. Thinking about total rainfall, if this affects you, especially agriculturally, this is going to be really, really spotty, where some places are getting storm after storm after storm over western Alabama, and then east of Montgomery, there may be a few places that are down here close to 1/10 of an inch total for the next 7 days. So it's occasional, it's spotty, it's uneven, it's unfair, call it what you will, but there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. And then looking beyond the 7-day forecast, I don't see any cool air coming south, which is why we let off the way we did, talking about the fact that May is here to stay. The average high temperature between May 11th and May 15th in Birmingham would be around 81, the average low 57. What you see over here, the fact that it's in the 80s like that, the 83 next Friday, the 82 on Thursday, that's above average. So that's the kind of weather I think is going to happen at least through the middle part of the month.